everybody, it's the War Hipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from the old world. Yes, we are back at long last with some Grand Cathay, and we are painting the much requested Shugengan Lord on Great Spirit Longma. Yes, here it is. So, we're going to jump in and we're going to start painting it right away. It's been primed in Wraithbone, and the colour we're going to be using first is Mortarion Grime. And we're going to be applying this over the top of the soft flesh of the body, but not the arms and not the wings. So, there's only a couple of little places for that. So it's going to be just in here. Like that. We're just going to overlap with the scales just a little bit. There we go. We're going to apply this over the top of the soft flesh on the back legs. And again, same deal. Just overlap with the little scales just a little bit. But when we get down around to the fins at the back there, we're not going to apply this over the top of those. And we're going to try our best to avoid the hard scales at the bottom of the foot. And we just want to kind of go over that ankle joint there, like that. So with that all done, we're then going to take a roughly 2 parts Lamy medium to 1 part Coelia Greenshade mix. And we're going to use this to now sort of roughly sketch out everywhere that's going to be that sort of bluish colour. So there's going to be a little bit of blending where we meet the Mortarion Grime. So for example, just around here on this shoulder, I'm going to apply this over the top of all of that area, like so. Again, just avoiding anywhere that's going to be orange, which is all the fins and things like that. And then, once we get to the Mortarion Grime, just there above the knee, we're just going to go overlap it just a little bit, like so. Wash the brush, touch off the water, and then we just smooth out any transitions that we might have accidentally created. Just like that sort of thing. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 2 parts Lamy medium to 1 part Kroxigor Scales mix, and we're going to apply this over the top of the areas where we want the sort of brightest sort of bluish scales. So this is mostly just like the kind of thicker ones around the neck and the tail and around the legs as well. And there is a little bit of blending at the ends of things, but not too much of it. So I'm just going to apply this like so. Like that. And then we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then just make sure to blend it into everything that we've done so we don't have any hard transitions. Like so. Once all that Kroxigor Scales is now fully dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some blue horror. I'm going to use this to dry brush all of the scales. And with that blue horror dry brush all applied, we're then going to do a very, very gentle dry brush with some white scar. You just want to really kind of just catch the edges here. It's going to give it that sort of glow almost. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is move on, and we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Larmian Medium and Seraphim Sepia. I'm going to apply this over top of everywhere that's going to be orange, or like that nice, lovely, warm sort of bone colour. So this is going to be all the wings, all the fins, the membranes, the whiskers and so on. And so with that all done, we're then going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Larmian Medium and Fuegan Orange, and we're going to apply this over the top. So with that now done, this is where our paths diverge just a little bit, because we've now got to go 2 different sort of colours on the sort of the warm red fiery bits. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Larmian Medium and Casandora Yellow, and we're going to apply this over top of the outside of the wings, but only on the membranes, like this. And we're going to do the same thing for all the other membranes on all the other fins as well. And so with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 2 parts Gryph-Hound Orange to 1 part Larmian Medium mix, and we're going to apply this over top of the inside of the wings and over top of all of the spines. So with that all done, we're now going to use a pretty hefty mix now, which is going to be roughly 4 parts Gryph-Hound Orange to 3 parts Larmian Medium to 1 part Blood Angels Red. And we're basically going to go over those very same details. And just whilst we wait for that to dry, we're going to take some Nuln Oil. And we're going to apply this over the top of the scales of the belly, these large ones. So with that all done, we're now going to dry brush all of our orange and yellow areas using some Ungor Flesh. We're just going to be really gentle here. And with that Ungor Flesh dry brush all applied, we're then going to give a really gentle dry brush of Flayed One Flesh over the top, just to really catch the sharpest points. With those dry brushes applied, it's time to move on to something that isn't sort of scaly skin. And we're going to move on to the horns by taking some Skeleton Horde. And we're going to apply this over the top of them. Whilst we wait for that Skeleton Horde to dry, we're going to take 2 layers of Gore-Grunta Fur. And we're going to apply this over top of the leather. So with that all done, we're now going to take 2 parts Wyldwood to 1 part Larmian Medium mix. And we're going to use this to do some blending on the horns. So I'm going to start down here at the base and get this all over. Just like that. I'm going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then we're going to blend that Wyldwood into the skeleton horde. And so with that now done, we're going to take some Biel-Tan Green and we're going to apply this over top of the eyes of our Spirit Longma. Like that. I should also say as well, the Wyldwood was applied to the claws and the talons and things as well. I forgot to mention it. Oh, and the teeth. And so just to pop a touch of warmth back into our horns, we're going to take some Seraphim Sepia and apply this over the top of the whole lot. So with that all done, we're now going to work on the Lord, and then we're going to get to War Hipster Battle Ready, and then we'll be taking it to the next level, even though we're quite far beyond that now already on the Longma. Anyway, the colour we're going to be using next, I should say, not first, is Baal Red. And we're going to be applying this over top of the inside and the outside of the cloak, and there's two little bits of cloth on the Longma under here. We're also going to apply this over. Whilst we wait for that Baal Red to dry, we're going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over top of the hair of our Lord, as well as the large sort of, it's not a tassel, but the, let's just call it a tassel, on the weapon. And we're going to apply this over top of the inner robe, both inside and out. And in addition to that, we're also going to apply this over the top of the boots. So with that now done and the red fully dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Lahmian Medium and Flesh Tearers Red. And we're going to apply this over the top of the red, but what we're going to do as well with this is we're going to apply this over the top of the haft of the weapon. So with that all done, our next port of call is to take some Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to apply this over the top of the trousers and the shirt. And then next up what we're going to do is we're going to take some Gore-Grunta Fur. And we're going to apply this over the top of the sort of barding on all the armour. So you've got this sort of leather stuff that's going on. And so with that Gore-Grunta Fur applied, we then take some Guilliman Flesh. We're going to apply this over the top of the face. And don't forget the ears. And with that Guilliman Flesh all applied, we then take some Iyanden Yellow. And we're going to apply this over the top of the sash around the waist. And believe it or not, we are now at the stage where we're going to add the metallics. So, the first one that we're going to add is some thinned down Iron Warriors. And we're going to be applying this over top of all the armour and the blade. And with all that Iron Warriors applied, we then take some thinned down Retributor Armour. And we apply this over the top of all of our remaining details. And with our metallics all applied, it's time to add some shades. And the first of these is going to be some Nuln Oil. And we're going to apply this over top of the silver. And with all that Nuln Oil applied, we then take some Reikland Fleshshade. We apply this over the top of all the gold. So with that all done, our Shugengan Lord on Great Spirit Longma is now what I would call a war hipster battle ready. And it's looking pretty good, however, we're not going to leave it there, of course not. No, we're going to take it to the next level by adding just a couple of highlights. There's not a huge amount left to do. So what we're going to start is we're going to start by taking some thinned down Screaming Skull. And we're going to use this to highlight all the claws, talons, and the antlers, or horns, as we've been calling them. With all that Screaming Skull applied, we then want to take some thinned down Gorthor Brown, and we're going to use this to add just some little striations to the darkest parts of the horns. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Dawnstone and we're going to dry brush this over the top of the long bits of hair. And with that Dawnstone dry brush all applied, we then take a really, really gentle, light dry brush of some Administratum Grey. We're just going to apply this over the top of the sharpest kind of corners. And with that done, we're back to Dawnstone, but only because we didn't want to dry brush these tiny little areas of extra bits of black. So what we've got is we've got these two little folds just here on the inner cloak. Do we want to just add a little Dawnstone highlight too? Like that. And there's a couple of little straps just hiding in amongst the boots that we're also going to pick out with this. So with that all done, it's now time to highlight the red. We're going to start off with some thinned down Evil Sunz Scarlet. And with that Evil Sunz Scarlet all applied, we then take a little bit of Fire Dragon Bright and we use this to add some little spot highlights to the red. So with that red now all done, we're going to take a teensy tiny little bit of Black Legion and we apply this over the top of the Lord's eyes. And with that Black Legion all applied, we then take a tiny, teeny, tiny little dot of Screaming Skull. And we apply this in the corners of the eyeballs. And with those eyes all done, what we're then going to do is take some thinned down Kislev Flesh. We're going to use this to highlight her face. And so with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Liberator Gold. I'm going to use this to highlight all the gold. And with all of that Liberator Gold applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Iron Breaker. And we're going to apply this over the top of all of the silver. Well, as a highlight to all of the silver. But the other thing we will do with this is we will pick out all of the gems scattered around. So with our metallics now all highlighted, what we now need to do is just quickly do the gems, but also the eye of our Great Spirit Longma. So we're going to be using two colours, and these colours are Blood Angel's Red and Warp Lightning. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the Warp Lightning, we're going to apply this over the top of just the eyeball of the Great Spirit Longma. Just like that. We'll do it on the other one as well. But for the gems, what we're going to do is we're going to apply this Warp Lightning over the top of any large gems. Now there's two different types of gems going on here. We've got the large gems, which is stuff like this one here on the chest plate. And then there's one on the breastplate of the Lord itself, as well as the two that are on the weapon. But for all the other little gems, which are these little kind of dial things that are scattered around the model, like this one here, we're going to take a little bit of Blood Angel's Red, and we're going to apply that over the top of the little round bit in the middle. Just like that. And so with that all done, our Shugengan Lord is now, well, finished. So it's time to quickly work on the base. And the colour we're going to be using for this is a roughly 2 parts Larmian Medium to 1 part Basilicanum Grey. And we're going to apply this over the top of the entirety of this rock. And so with our Basilicanum Grey and Larmian Medium mix applied to the rock, what we're then going to do is going to add a little bit of weathering to the rock by using two colours, Creed Camo and Guilliman Flesh. And what we're going to do is the Guilliman Flesh is effectively our dirt, the Creed Camo is going to be our moss. So we're going to start with some Guilliman Flesh, and we're going to apply this, for example, just under here. Like that sort of thing. I'm just going to apply this sort of more towards the bottom. Of our rocks. We can apply this like so, and then if we want to, because it's a bit too hard a transition, we can just wash the brush, touch off the water, and just sort of blend it a little bit, just to make sure there aren't any kind of unnatural lines in the model. Apply a little bit more Guilliman Flesh around there. Keep bringing it around. Like so. We'll wash the brush. Do a little bit of blending over the top of that. Just by sort of basically wiping the excess off, really. Ooh, got a bit of a hard line there. Get rid of that. And then we've got another little bit. Just like that. That'll do for some dirt. Wash the brush. Give it just a little blend like that. Then for some moss, for the Creed Camo, what we do is almost the same thing, but we're going to stick towards things like recesses. So we're just going to apply this like so. And bring it down into the Guilliman Flesh as well. And then once again, wash the brush, touch off the water, and then just give it kind of a once over, quite roughly. With a clean dry brush. Well, dry-ish brush. You don't want too much on your brush as you're doing this. You just want to get sort of small amounts as you go. And of course, be wary of the model itself. And so to finish things off, what we're now going to do is take some Administratum Grey, and we're going to dry brush this over the top of the rock, and then we're going to use our usual base ready mix from Geek Gaming Scenics. It's the Mediterranean soil one for all of the negative space. But that concludes our Great Spirit Longma Lord Shugengan video. And so here it is then, at long last, the Shugengan Lord on Great Spirit Longma. All finally finished, and wow, I think it looks fantastic. I'm really, really pleased with how the Great Spirit Longma has come out, especially those wings and that orange. It's to die for. And the character on the back isn't really all that complicated. It's mostly just the dragon-y thing itself, which takes up most of the video, as you can probably tell having just watched it.
If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.